At 32, Daniel Walker realized a painful truth. He was behind. Not behind his friends, not behind his family, but behind his own expectations. He thought by now he'd have a stable career, maybe a house, a family. Instead, he was living in a small apartment in Kansas City, struggling paycheck to paycheck. He worked a job he didn't love, one he barely tolerated just to get by. Every single morning, Daniel woke up long before the sun. It wasn't because he was motivated or a morning person. It was because anxiety was his alarm clock. He'd grab his phone, scroll through social media, and see a parade of success from people he used to know. Former classmates were buying homes, launching businesses, traveling the world. And him, he was still just trying to figure out who he was supposed to be. The part that hurt the most was that Daniel wasn't lazy. He worked hard. He always showed up on time. He did what was asked of him. But somehow, all that effort wasn't translating into progress. It felt like he was running on a treadmill, working hard but going nowhere. Growing up, he'd heard the same advice everyone does. If you just do the right things, life will work out. Graduate high school, go to college, get a good job. Success will follow. It was supposed to be a simple formula. But nobody ever told him what to do when life doesn't follow the plan, when the formula fails. After college, Daniel felt like a pinball, bouncing between random jobs. He did customer service, then sales, then warehouse work. Nothing ever felt right. Nothing ever stuck. Every time he thought he'd finally found his path, reality would hit him with a new disappointment. A company would downsize, a role wouldn't be what he expected, or he'd just burn out. And slowly, a quiet, insidious thought began to creep into his mind. Maybe this is it. Maybe this is all I'll ever be. That thought terrified him more than anything. It felt like a life sentence. One evening, after another long, draining shift, Daniel sat alone in his apartment. The only sound was the low hum of the refrigerator. A stack of unopened bills sat on his small kitchen table, a monument to his stress. He felt exhausted, not in his body, but in his soul. Life just felt so heavy, like he was carrying a weight he couldn't put down. But that night, sitting in the quiet darkness, Daniel did something small, yet incredibly important. He stopped blaming time. He stopped looking at the clock of his life and feeling like he was late. He had a powerful realization. Being late is not the same as being finished. Think about it. Most people don't fail because they lack talent or intelligence. They fail because they believe the timeline lies. They think that success has an expiration date, that if you haven't made it by a certain age, your chance is gone. Daniel decided, right then and there, that his story wasn't over. It was just getting started. The next morning, nothing magical happened. There was no sudden burst of motivation. He didn't wake up a new person, filled with boundless energy, but he had made one firm decision. He was going to stop waiting for inspiration to strike, and start building discipline instead. So, Daniel started waking up an hour earlier, not to hustle or grind, but to learn. He used that quiet hour to read books about mindset, personal finance, and new skills. He started listening to podcasts during his commute to work instead of just music. He began writing down his goals, even the ones that felt laughably unrealistic at the time. At first, the progress was completely invisible. Weeks turned into a month. Nothing changed on the outside. His bank account looked exactly the same. His job was just as unfulfilling. That old friend, doubt, started knocking on his door again, whispering that this was all a waste of time. But this time, Daniel didn't quit. He was learning a crucial lesson that most people never accept. Results always lag behind discipline. You don't see the change overnight. The reward for consistency comes much later. While his coworkers went home to relax and watch TV, Daniel was studying. While others complained about how unfair life was, Daniel was quietly working on himself. He made a conscious choice to prioritize consistency over comfort. Months slowly turned into a year. Through his self-study, Daniel discovered He had an interest in digital skills, things like online marketing, content creation, and building online systems. He had no experience. He wasn't great at first. In fact, he failed repeatedly. He launched small projects that went nowhere. He reached out to potential clients who said no. He felt foolish, a man in his early 30s starting from scratch, learning things that teenagers seem to master effortlessly. But he remembered why he started. It wasn't to impress anyone else. It wasn't to catch up to his old classmates. It was to earn his own self-respect back. And then, slowly, the small wins started to appear. A tiny freelance project here, a small payment there. It was nothing glamorous, nothing to post about on social media, but it was proof. It was tangible evidence that his efforts were creating something real. Progress was happening. Daniel was smart. He didn't take these small wins and upgrade his lifestyle. He didn't buy a new car or a fancy watch. He reinvested everything he earned back into his education. He bought more courses, more books, and better tools. He didn't upgrade his lifestyle, he upgraded his skills. 2 years later, Daniel's life looked completely different. It wasn't perfect, but it was intentional. It was a life he was actively building, not one that was just happening to him. He finally quit his soul-crushing job. That first month of self-employment was terrifying. His income was unstable, and that old fear of failure came rushing back. But this time, fear didn't control him. The discipline he had built over 2 years had replaced the panic. He knew what to do. Keep learning, keep working, keep going. By the time he was 36, Daniel was earning more money than he ever had in his life. But more importantly than the money, he felt proud. He was proud because he didn't give up when society, and his own inner voice, told him he was late. He was proud because he had rewritten his own story. One afternoon, Daniel ran into an old friend he hadn't seen in years. The friend looked at his life and joked, "Man, you finally made it." Daniel just smiled because he knew the truth. He didn't finally make it. There was no magic moment, he just refused to quit. He made 1,000 small, disciplined choices that added up over time. Today, Daniel mentors other people in their late 20s, 30s, even 40s who feel lost and ashamed for being behind. He tells them the one thing he wishes someone had told him all those years ago. Life is not a race. It's a responsibility to yourself. You're not behind. You're just early in your next chapter. Daniel Walker's success didn't come from luck, or youth, or perfect timing. It came from discipline. It came from patience. It came from the courageous act of refusing to believe that your age defines your potential. And that is the truth that so many of us need to hear. Your breakthrough doesn't care how old you are. It doesn't care how many times you've failed before. It only cares that you keep going. So whatever your age, whatever your situation, remember Daniel's story. Your timeline is your own. Your story is not over. Keep building. Keep learning. Keep going. Thanks for watching. If this story resonated with you, please subscribe and share it with someone who might need to hear it today.